Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Builders Podcast. My name is Josh. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Interact. We are bootstrapped at 3 million. Today, I'm joined by another bootstrap founder, Jamie Keane, bootstrapped her company, Julep. And I'm really excited to chat about this because you had a different business you were running before. You kind of parlayed that into this one in a way. And we were chatting before the show, but I'm just going to cue you up. Tell us why you created Julep and a quick overview of what it is.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I've been following your journey, and I think it's really cool what you and your founders have built. Why we built. So I think hopefully every founder is building to solve a problem. It shouldn't be a nice to have. It should be a need to have. And through the other businesses I was running previously, part of what I did, I cannot code, but I hired developers and designers to help build other websites for people. And let me tell you what, it's expensive. It takes a long time. And then the hardest part is even when you're passing the website on to your client, they're still going to need to pay a maintenance fee. They're going to have to pay probably the developer a monthly rate, not even me, to make any updates or changes because it's just not easy. So what we found, and by we, I mean me, I don't know why I said we, it's just me, is really in terms of building a website presence. There's really two options. You can have the Linktree type business, the link in bios, beacons, etc. of the world where it's just link, which you then have to send them somewhere else, right? So you need at least 2 to 5 tools. Then the other side of the coin is a full-blown website, which I just talked about, is very time-consuming, expensive, hard to manage. And I thought, why is there nothing in the middle? Why can't there be something as easy as the Linktrees of the world, but as comprehensive as a website? And that's how Julep was born, to help empower creators, freelancers, solopreneurs to create we like to call it a website in bio, so they can focus on what they're good at, but have Julep do the rest and help them get paid, help brands better understand what they do, or clients, and so much more. So that's kind of how it started and what it is.
That makes perfect sense to me because we work with a ton of creators, and it has been this interesting dichotomy where if you're more than 5 years old, you have a website that's not necessarily that mobile friendly. It works on mobile, but it doesn't load very fast and it's not optimized. And then if you're less than 5 years old, there's a fairly high chance you don't even have a website. And then there's just this awkward middle ground. So you're addressing that awkward middle ground perfectly, and that makes a ton of sense.
We call it Linktree limbo.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. What's the particular size of creator that finds this to be really useful? Because I'm just thinking in my head about people that invest in a whole brand and they have a whole custom website and all that stuff. I would imagine it's not necessarily at that size, but then where does it kind of fit in?
Yeah, to be honest, we have creators of all sizes. I have some creators that have 1,000, and then I have some that have 200,000 plus. It's really, again, for someone that takes it seriously, because I think at the end of the day, if this is a hobby or a pastime, you're probably not going to put even in the time, let alone the investment. So it's for someone that takes it seriously and it doesn't have maybe the resources or care for the resources to build a whole website. As Josh and I were talking about earlier, SEO, which for those that don't know what that is search engine optimization, which is the strategy to organically rank on Google if someone was searching for you, has dropped dramatically because people are typically now searching for whether it's a creator or a service provider, either on social, obviously, especially for creators, and even service providers, or the ChatGPTs of the world. So website clicks have dramatically fallen for any website, whether you're the most SEO friendly website in the world, because Google now has an AI summary at the top almost 90% of the time. So you're getting your answers immediately. So who's clicking? So Julep actually kind of fits that sweet spot in that if people are going to your social media, bing, bang, boom, you have your website in bio, and it only takes about 20 minutes to set up.
That's a really interesting point about where that conversation is starting on social or on ChatGPT versus somebody searching specifically for a search term. That makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. That's something that we've been seeing a lot of, and people trying to figure out what is this new normal in terms of how we build a conversion funnel of if it's not starting because somebody searched for how do I have a healthy diet for keto? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no one searches that anymore. They're like following some influencer who talks about keto diets, and then they'll click the link in bio at some point, and that's the new journey. It's so crazy how
Yeah.
it's so different. And I am curious to get your thoughts on that, because you're targeting, or you're working with, this new wave of creators that's like social first.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just chatting before we went live. Like, we didn't necessarily grow up with social media, and
Mm-hmm.
so amongst folks that are, I'd say, over the age of 30, there's a lot of resistance to
Mm.
social marketing. It's like, I don't know exactly what it is. So I'm curious your perspective. Why do you think so many business owners struggle with doing social marketing?
I think to answer your other question of why people are going to influencers is trust. Before on Google, you'd just be clicking random links and hoping the answer was relevant or helpful. Where now people are, for lack of a better way of putting it, involved in these people's lives to a point. And over time with the content, they build trust with that person. So it makes sense that then they buy into what they're selling. Which, by the way, with Julep, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be launching the ability for people to sell digital products so they can also earn money that way too. But to your other point about why businesses are struggling to be creators, oh man, I could talk about this all day long. I think at the end of the day, though, in today's world, if you have a business, you got to be a creator, right? Because social media marketing is the way to grow a business. Before, you'd have to spend an obscene amount of money on TV, print ads, all these different things. I live in New York City, so subway ads, which are really, really expensive. We luckily live in I actually just did an email newsletter, but I have a hate-love relationship with social. Like, it's such a great tool. The barriers to entry are zero because it's free to use organically. But at the same time, it's like the algorithm changes literally every day. And you think you're doing this one thing, and then the algorithm's like, nope, see you later. But I think in terms of businesses showing up, going back to the other point, people trust people. And if you, as the founder, no one's going to advocate for your business like you. No one cares as much as you. And if you can show up authentically that you're here to help them with their problem, that's just how you need to think about it. Not, I'm selling this thing or tool, right? It's, hey, you got this problem. Here's this tool that will solve X problem. Let me show you how. And I think that's how people need to think about it.
Yeah, and trust is an interesting one, because as I'm thinking about the definition of that and like what that even means,
Mm,
I I get the sense that a lot of the resistance to social media is the old school. This is probably from like 5 years ago, but like, oh, I gotta go dance on TikTok, and that's kind of like very contrary to what you're saying. Because if you're saying that it's trust, and you're not somebody that likes to dance, then showing up on social media dancing is not building trust, because it's not actually real. Like, you're putting off a persona that's not your persona. And so then the answer would be like, just show up the way that you actually would show up when you show up to work. Like,
mm-hmm.
how do you talk to your customers? And have you seen that to work though? Because I guess what I in to frame that question, like, does it work to do that, or do you have to always be on trend, like follow
Mm.
the trend of the day kind of deal?
I think it just depends what your product is, your audience, and the context and the platform. So, for example, I was mentioning earlier, I, as a millennial, am not jumping for joy to create content, but I've been speaking to so many people and they're like, Jamie, you are the brand, you are the energy, you are the face. So I decided to launch a personal brand TikTok. And I swear, I'm just talking to the camera. And the advice I got was pretend you're talking to a friend, which is really weird when you're looking at a screen and just seeing yourself. It definitely takes practice, but I've definitely seen others succeed by building their personal brand that people invest in that. At the end of the day, what I think is the most impactful is people seeing your product in use by multiple people. Again, I think the theme of this podcast episode is going to be trust. So, for example, I mentioned my business. I only launched it 2.5 months ago. And since day one, we've been partnering with creators. And also the summer leading up to the launch, I did over 60 street interviews with creators and freelancers. so that I would batch create for the year because I ain't going out in the wintertime. Um, and leveraging one, their audience via collabs so that they see them talking about it or about their journey. And then the creators I've started using or working with since launch. I cannot tell you now in the comments, one, it's other creators commenting, being like, I love my julep too. It's so great. Or other people like, oh, I saw someone else talking about this. Now this has validated it. There's, I think, this rule of thumb where it's every customer needs to see something about 7 times before they commit. And having creators authentically talk about your product is so important. And one last thing I'll add to that is I hear so often from creators that I talk to that they know when other creators are just doing content for the transaction monetarily. They're just like, I just want to get paid and that's
Oh,
it. I always say to my creators, because I trust my product to be that good, and I'm sure you feel the same way, I say, try it out. Tell me what you think. Let's reconvene in a week. If you love it, great. Then we can do a partnership together. If you don't, no hard feelings. I'm not perfect for everyone. My product isn't perfect for everyone. But I have every single person I've done that with has come back and emailed me and said it exceeded their expectations. They set it up in 20 minutes and they're like, let's go. So if you believe in your product, put it out there and test it out.
that's your point of like people can tell. I wonder if that's almost like the same thing as being able to tell when something is AI generated. It's
Mm,
like the source is wrong, something is off, and people can tell. Because I mean, it's the stuff that like big brands put out, especially in the software world. It's so cringe. It's terrible.
yeah.
Like, you're like, this person who films lifestyle content does not use this enterprise marketing tool. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so absurd.
I
And
100%
so
agree.
that's great advice, honestly, what you just said for anybody that's thinking about social media marketing and partnerships. Are those people that you're reaching out to do a collab with, like help promote the product?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, I only want people that genuinely, I say that on every call. I'm like, only if you
Yeah.
authentically love it. Because one other thing that's been really interesting is I'll reach out to someone who I really like and I think it would be a great fit for them. And they're using one of my competitors, it varies. And a lot of the time they'll say to me, oh, I can't work with you. I'm in a contract for the next 3-6 months to use this product. And I don't know, it kind of gives me the ick.
Oh,
Like, are you that insecure that they're going to abandon your tool, that you have to lock
yeah.
them into this like contract? So people will ask me, do you require a certain amount of time? And I say, no, I believe in my product so much that you're not going to want to leave. But if you do, that's fine. Maybe you want to build that full blown website and spend the thousands of dollars. Do you? But I would
Yeah.
never be like, you have to use my product for 6 months. I think that's so gross.
So is that are they talking about they bought like an annual contract, or are you talking about they got it for free and then but the deal was they had to use it for a certain amount of time?
I haven't asked the particulars, but from my understanding, my bet is they created content for that particular product. And then within the contract, they got paid and got the free subscription for X amount. I don't know. I can't say that for certain, but that's my bet.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, we have the same thing in our space all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you said, it is so absurd because like if somebody doesn't want to use your product even after you paid them and probably gave them the product for free, that
Mm-hmm.
means the product doesn't solve the problem it's supposed to solve. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do the thing it's supposed to do. So like you can spend all the money in the world, but like your churn is going to be so crazy. And I think that's why,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, somebody else that's like tangential to our space, because we both kind of work with creators a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else was just talking about one of their competitors that abruptly shut down. And I'm like, well, that's how you get there. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
forcing people to use your product that they don't want to use and it doesn't solve their problem,
Right.
then of course, like, as soon as you turn the marketing engine off, it just collapses.
100%. I went to a conference about 2 weeks ago, and one thing that I kept hearing over and over again was how important product market fit is. And I think
Yeah.
I'll be honest, when I first found a julep, it has iterated over that year and a half I was working on, because yes, you have to listen to your gut and your intuition, but you also have to leave your ego at the door, because you're not buying your product, your customers are. So you need to build something that they genuinely love and will either save them time or help them earn more money or some sort of transformation. And
Yep.
I've had friends who have started businesses and they did not leave their ego at the door, and it no longer exists. So
Yep.
listening, we talked about this, listening to your customers, even if you've been in business for me 2 months or you 13 years, we were talking about this, like you got to keep talking to your customer because we're all evolving and the world is changing.
Yeah. And I wanted to highlight that you told me before we went live, but you told me you're doing around 9 calls a day. Those are mostly with customers, I would assume.
Customers, creators, and communities. So
Yep.
a strategy that we're implementing is collaborating with communities that would be a perfect fit for their audience to benefit from this tool.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the time, the creator that is running this community is using a tool to sell their services, but
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily be the right fit for their community, right?
Hmm.
So, as a brand new business, it's all about awareness. So, hopefully, showing them, like, hey, this is cool too. Check it out. Again, no pressure, like, check it out. See if you like it. I'd love to show it to you. And if you think it's a good fit, let's go. And I cannot tell you the joy, and I'm sure you felt this way when people say, where has this been all my life? It is the best feeling in the world.
Yep. I mean, if people are telling you that, that's the thing, and hold on to that because,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
13 years in, there's all these waves. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the whole world loves you, and other times it seems like everybody disappeared. And it's just like staying focused on like whoever that audience is that is being like, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for because I've
Yeah.
tried 8 other solutions and wasted my
Mm-hmm.
time, or like I didn't even know I could do this, or it seems super hard, whatever. Sounds like that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're hearing from people, and that's exactly what you want to be hearing from people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you mentioned a couple of growth strategies here that I think are super interesting. Obviously, partnering with creators, but then partnering with communities.
Mhm.
Are those creator-led communities? I would assume.
Sometimes. So I think I mentioned earlier that we're launching, for example, podcast. We're on a podcast. We're launching digital products.
Yeah.
So for certain creators, that may not be as relevant, but we
Hmm.
have found that people that use our tool that love it are coaches.
Hmm.
So right now we have a competitor that most people, I'm not going to say names, but we have a very big competitor with digital products.
Yeah.
Their business, it's very expensive, and their main feature is just digital products. So what we're offering in conjunction to digital products is a website and bio as well. So helping them understand you can have more than just digital products because you are more than digital products. Like, what is your story? How did you come to be? And also our price point is crazy accessible, um,
Hmm.
because especially creators and solopreneurs, budgets are tight. Budgets are
Yeah.
so tight. Even it's so wild, I'll say for Linktree, they have a plan that's up to $35. And I'm like, you're just links. What are you charging for?
Yeah.
So, and ours is half that.
Yeah.
So, more than half that. So, I just think, and I know your tool is super affordable as well, because gosh, we have so many subscriptions. And at least Julep's goal is to condense that. Like, we have people that are using Calendly, Canva, and then I don't know, I'm blanking on other tools where you can actually get rid of all of those and just use the one. So we've had people tell us how
Hmm.
much money they're saving a month, which is really cool to see as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that you're talking about that. Oftentimes, what we'll do is just tell people to wait to use our tool until they hit a higher volume because you
Mm-hmm.
don't need another subscription when you're starting out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to build your audience, build engagement. Yours is different. Like, you need something in that space at the very beginning. So, I'm glad you have a very entry level, affordable price point for people to start
Yeah.
with. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, companies, the pricing is perplexing sometimes when you put it up against what the actual audience is saying. It doesn't match up, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. Okay, so those two strategies. What else are you doing to grow the company?
So one thing we are looking into, which we touched on a little bit, is what's called GEO.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's so new. And GEO, for those that don't know what that means, is generative engine optimization. So basically optimizing your business so that if someone is searching for you on the ChatGPT, Geminis of the world, that you will be one of the things that they list. Actually, I have a funny story. I was talking to my ChatGPT about Julep and like, would this be something you'd recommend? And they're like, 100%, no brainer. And then I go to my husband, I'm like, I'm gonna go use your ChatGPT to see if it's lying to me. And it was. It was like,
Yep.
no, I would, use X, Y, and Z. So I go back to mine, I go, you lied. You said you were gonna recommend me and you did it. And what I learned was the strategy to rank is similar to SEO in that you have to, I keep saying this word, you have to build trust and you have to have that legacy. So I'm a baby, I'm brand new, where these other businesses have been around for years. So one thing that we're really working on is optimizing our business for the AI space, meaning ChatGPT to be discovered. So I went to another panel. I'm very blessed living in New York. There's a lot of really interesting panels and events and opportunities that I get to go to for free or a very low cost. And one thing, and this is really interesting information, is this panelist said, AI is lazy, meaning don't write content or blogs that are fluffy where AI has to dig around to find the answer. Make it so easy to find. And one of the big hacks they suggested was have an FAQ section. So if it's a blog, for example, that has questions that people would be searching on chat, because then they don't have to think about it. It's right there. And the more niche and specific, the better. And that just blew my mind because it makes so much sense, right? But so that's a really big thing that hopefully my competitors aren't focusing as much energy on, because they can rest on their laurels and legacy, or hopefully I can creep up and start becoming one of the suggested answers, because having even that visibility, being like, oh, what's that? I think could definitely help.
Yeah, it does seem like with ChatGPT and like with any new platform that comes along, like there is a nice opportunity for new people that can be more nimble or more like adaptable, can be a little more successful like right out the gate, versus like having to wait forever. I kind of feel like ironically that's almost where like social media is now, like Instagram is like there's not necessarily like a quick way to jump up because it's so established. I'd say what since maybe 2016 or 17, like Instagram's been like a pretty stable thing. So it's 10 years, close to 10 years, whereas ChatGPT is like 2-3 years old. So
Totally.
it's like still kind of getting it all figured out. And then I'm sure like 5 years from now it'll be like
It's going to be
impossible if you're
totally
new.
different. 100%. One other thing that was interesting that I learned from the panel was with SEO, it takes months for Google to index all the information. They said GEO, you could be up same day.
Yep. Yeah.
Which was really
it
interesting.
is weird. Yeah, it's like it's the craziest thing. I did experience that a couple weeks ago. I like wrote something and the next morning it was up and I'm like,
That's wild. I love that.
I have not seen since, I mean, Google used to work that way, 2012, 2013. But I haven't seen it since then. It just went away.
It's totally
Just went
different.
away. How are you thinking about product, or who's developing the product? You mentioned you're not a programmer yourself.
Yeah. So I had this, it's actually a really funny story. So the girl that has helped design everything, like super clean, aesthetic, user friendly, I've been working with her for years on the websites I mentioned earlier. And I literally just like had the idea. I wrote it on a piece of paper, and it, like I mentioned, it was a little different in the start. But I told her this idea. She goes, Jamie, that's so weird. I literally had this idea last night. And I'm like, you're lying. It was bizarre. So I was like, okay, let's just build it out and create a mock-up. And then I started having those conversations again with people to see, is this something I was like, I'm not going to waste money again and just build something to build something. I'm going to really make sure that this is something they'd throw their credit card at me for. And then in terms of my team, it's a not great story to start. So I don't know. I imagine one of your founders today is a developer.
Yeah.
You're very lucky. So the first developer I hired for Julep was actually my friend's husband. And I did that because I can't believe how many times I've said this word, trust. Because my friend's husband, I met him once or twice. He lives in the same area as I do, where I've worked with other developers that were non-communicative. But I was like, okay, if he's not answering, I'll just go text my friend and be like, can you go get your husband, please? So very, very long story short, I explained the idea to him. He was like, I could do it, no problem. We worked on it for 10 months and I paid him a lot of money. And by the end of it, I was like, this keeps breaking, this keeps breaking. He's like, I can't keep fixing things that break. I'm like, but it never worked in the first place. So that's not, it's breaking, it just never worked.
Mm.
And then I later learned he was just completely BSing me for 10 months and
Mm.
took my money, which was a real fun time.
Mm.
So this was one of those moments where it's like either you quit because you spent all this time and energy and money, or you keep going. And that's kind of the only way you can fail is if you stop. So I luckily found my now developer team versus an individual, which has been really helpful since January. And it's been an absolute delight to work with them. And they have just been on it and communicative. And I just feel so blessed to have found them. So my team is small. It's me and the designer I mentioned earlier who's still adding new features with me and working on other projects. And then this team of developers. So it's tiny, but we're moving and grooving. And when I show the product to people, I say I've only been doing this for 2.5 months. They're like, this looks like you've been doing this forever. And I'm like, thanks, I'll take it. But it's finding the right people. Oh man, it's like getting married. You got to pick the right person because otherwise you're going to be miserable every day.
Yeah, it's so true. It's such a challenge, and I appreciate your resilience there because the vast majority of people would not go for a second round.
Mm-hmm.
And also just to validate your experience, it's what you experience is way more common than anything else. Meaning that first round, like it's it's such a crazy thing to me because I'm like, why are so many people who have technical skills like so willing to just take people's money? I don't get it, but it's super, super, super common. Where did you find the second team or the team that you have now?
I found them, I believe, on Upwork. And from my
Hmm.
first experience with the other developer, who I just blindly trusted again because he was my friend's husband, this team, I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is advice to anyone that's building something where they don't know what it is. Like, in the sense, like, I couldn't check his code to be like, oh, you missed this. Like, I don't know. So I said, I'm going to give him a tiny little project that can be done in like a month and see how that goes. See how it goes, not even with the deliverable, but his communication, his style, his way of working with me, because that is so important. And again, it was a silly mistake on my part. I should have done that when I first hired someone, but lesson learned. So date your hires before you get married is probably the biggest lesson I learned from that.
No, it's super smart. I mean, we do a lot of that. Honestly, with any hire, um, not just technical or like things where you don't have the local expertise or whatever.
Mm.
Just always have a because also you kind of get to see how you work together. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a smart and like it's cool that you carried that learning from the first one over into the second one.
You
And
gotta
like
have the silver linings on those moments, because I was not a
it's
happy girl.
frustrating.
I was pretty blue, to say the least, when I
Yeah.
saw my bank account and
Yeah.
lost 10 months.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep pushing forward.
Hey, I mean, I can say from I guess we're about a decade ahead of you in terms of how long like something like that happens like every 3 4 years. So like
Oh no! So I have to
you're
should I set the
you're
reminder 3 years from now to
you're
get
just
ready?
you built your resilience early. That's great.
Um,
Honestly, it's better to have it happen then and be like, okay, and because then next time something happens that throws you off for a year or whatever, you're like,
mm,
I've been through this. We'll be
that's
fine.
true. That's true.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like it's just a cyclical thing. It's like you get a couple of years great, couple of years tough, couple of years great, just back and
Mhm.
forth.
Mhm.
But you said it, like as long as you don't give up, like it all works out and you learn
Yeah.
from the stuff that goes wrong way more
Oh,
than the stuff that goes right.
Absolutely. And I always like to Google and read stories of entrepreneurs. I think so many people think they're an overnight success.
Nah.
For example, there's this water bottle I'm absolutely obsessed with. Have you heard of Awala?
Oh yeah, that's what I have.
Obsessed. I feel like
Yeah.
it's only blown up in the last 6 months. I like before
Yeah.
6 months ago, I had not seen it. And I was like, oh, this must be some new water bottle that I just never heard of. It came out 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it came out in 2020, peak COVID time, which is such a good time for a water bottle because everyone's home.
Yeah.
And I was like really impressed. I was like, good
Huh.
for you, Awala, for keeping at it. And the same with like hokas. I don't know if you know what
Yeah.
hokas are.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Of
love
course.
my hokas. I got
Yep.
introduced to them because I had a foot injury and now they're everywhere. But they had been around, gosh, for decades and now they're cool. So it's
Wow.
just, you gotta stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and make it sustainable somehow too,
Yes,
right?
that
Like,
too. Without having to
you
go on the
know,
street and perform and do your TikTok dance.
exactly. Like if you hate it and it's like okay, your energy is at 10 and it goes down by 1 every
Mm-hmm.
month, like that's not going to work because
No.
you don't know when the next like 10-month problem is going to happen, you know? And so if you're
Mm-hmm. That's
always
so
like in
true.
this place where you could die if you have 3 bad months, that
Yeah.
doesn't work. Because
Mm-mm.
yeah, I mean, same thing. Like I don't know if you know Blundstones, but it's kind of a similar concept. Like this boot from Australia got really popular like 3 4 years ago, but they're from like 1981. Um,
Wow.
or like Nvidia, right? Like Nvidia's market cap was like $1 billion in 2001, and they started in 1985, and now it's 4.5 trillion. It's like,
It's
you know,
wild.
it's you never know when it's going to hit though.
Yeah.
You just got to stay in the game long enough. And we were talking about this before, like I think continue building relationships long enough
Mm.
because ultimately this is my view. I'm curious your view. My view is like there is no such thing as like some viral moment that makes a business take off.
Mm-hmm.
If there is, it's because the like kindling has already been lit and there's
Mm-hmm.
enough people who already have heard of a brand and
Mm-hmm.
then some piece of content goes viral, then it hits. But that those people that know about it, that's because of relationships and word of
Mm-hmm.
mouth. What do you think?
Agreed. So there's
Okay.
this creator that just agreed. There's
Easy.
this creator that I adore, and she was working her nonprofit job and was just doing it for fun. And her edits are absolute fire. I'm like, you should be
Hmm.
working for a movie studio. Like, they're so good. And she's like, oh, I just do them on my phone on CapCut. I'm like, I don't understand. And she created a video, I think it was 2 years ago now, where she was like, I hope this year I get 10,000 followers. And within a
Hmm.
year, she grew to over 100K. And now she's almost at 400K just because she kept going and believing in it. So I think to your point, yes, she's gone viral multiple times because her content is just that good, but her content was the same quality. It was just, to your point, they were building up that fire, and the networking point has helped so much because at the end of the day, if you hear it from a friend or a family member, you're more likely to invest in something than just randomly seeing it online, especially from the brand's POV. That's why I love investing in other creators who genuinely love it, because people can tell that love. And if they're using it genuinely, then it's like, okay, let me give it a go versus just being like, buy now, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like, if you have all those connections already out there, then the content can kind of like wash over and bring them all
Mm-hmm.
together. But the content by itself, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that is the only thing that does it.
No.
At least not if you're selling like a software product or
Mm-hmm.
something that's a bit higher of an investment. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
with something that's like a $5 trinket, but like
Right.
that's also a kind of tough space to be in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
100% agree.
or even like with the audience that I think we both serve with coaches, like
Mm-hmm.
if you if you don't have a lot of connections, like I don't think you're going to get people to invest in, a multi-thousand-dollar or tens of thousands of dollars coaching package
Mm-hmm.
just based on your content. I think you need both.
Social proof is so important. I had one video on my website that's a testimonial with this girl that's very well known. in the UGC creator space. And it's funny, she and I talked recently because initially Julep wasn't the perfect fit for her as is, but with the digital products piece, she was like, oh my God, let's go. So I'm so excited to onboard her once we get that. But another creator saw her testimonial because she genuinely loved the product. It just wasn't fitting for her in that moment. And she goes, Jamie, I bought it because she was just talking about it. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's believing in it. And I think people are just so afraid. I was no one wants to be scammed. No one wants, we're scammed enough and getting these horrible calls from this is the FBI. If you don't give me your bank account now, we're going to arrest you. Oh, my poor father, he's had all these calls. And it's just, I think we need to hear and see and touch, even if it's software, experience it before we can give our hard-earned dollar. And it's hard in today's day and age because it's so saturated with so much competition, but that's why you need people talking about it. So to your point, networking and helping people understand your vision and the transformation is huge.
No, that's such a good point. And honestly, I think hearing somebody else, even if it's a creator that you follow talking about a product, as long as it's not the creator of the product talking about the product, that carries so much more weight. And then we were talking about personal brands before. I think the creator sharing their own story and how they're building the company and that kind of stuff can be a nice accent. But the creator can't just be going out there being I made this product, go buy it. That could be a scam. You don't know.
100%. I actually did a video on TikTok, and I can't believe I'm sharing the story. So the hook of my video was I spent over $25,000 trying to build a website. So I decided to build one instead. And it's true. I was using WordPress and Wix, and I talk about my experience, not to poo-poo on them, but this is my genuine experience. I don't know if you've ever used WordPress, but you're probably more tech savvy. The backend is really hard to navigate.
It's tough,
as a non-techie person, and WordPress commented on the video. And they wrote, oh no. And I felt so bad because I wasn't there to poo-poo on them, but it's my genuine experience as a non-techie person, a developer. But that's my authentic experience of why I built the tool that I built, not just buying now. It's I had this problem. There was nothing that was solving it. Here's what I did. Check it out if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's all you can do and let people have their autonomy, to choose. Do I feel like I have that problem? Yes. Then maybe I'll try this out. And that's the gist of it. This is super, super enlightening conversation. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
What's the website for Julep if people are listening and want to check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to check it out, learn more, sign up. You get 14 days free. The website is MyJulep, so it's myjulip.com. You can also find us on social at MyJulep. If you have any questions, I'll give Josh my email, and I'm always down to chat. Or as we talked about, 9 calls a day, or hold your hand and build your julep with you. I'm here for it. And so thank you again, Josh, for this opportunity to share my story and a little about julep.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. This was awesome. Appreciate it.
You got it.